everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Julia Polston with Indiana Constructors, Inc. And today I'm honored with two guests from Somerset CPA and Advisors. I have Ken Hedlund and Jenny Ray. Both of them are principals with Somerset. So thank you so much for both of you joining me today.
Thanks, Julia. We're glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, so if you guys, I don't care whoever wants to start first. If you guys both want to, go ahead and say who you are again, what you do at Somerset, and your position, and kind of how long you've been with Somerset.
Sure. So I'll go first. I know this is kind of unique to have two people being interviewed, but Jean and I work together a significant amount with the construction team. So we thought it made sense. And Jenny's actually going to be taking the lead on our involvement with ICI, which we're really looking forward to. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm Ken Hedlund. I'm a principal with Somerset CPAs. We're a CPA advisory firm. I've been with our firm for 30 years. So I've been here a long time, and I oversee our construction team at Somerset.
Hey. Well, and I'm Jenny Ray. I'm a principal at Somerset CPAs and Advisors, and I've been here for almost 6 years. I have a focus in tax and advisory services, and I work specifically with those in the construction industry. We do strategic tax planning for businesses and owners, and also specialize in tax credit and tax consulting as it relates to construction industry.
Jenny does all the fun stuff.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Because I know what I always tell people all the time, anytime I'm having a conversation with anyone, whether they're in the industry or not in our industry, when you hear the words highway construction, I feel like those two words, the first thing you think of about any type of job, you think directly out where you're getting your hands dirty. Big construction equipment, shovel in the ground. But what a lot of people forget to think about is how many different facets there actually are to our industry, and finance plays a significant role, because without the finance part of it, you can't really do anything else. So
the closest we've gotten to that is Jenny and I. I don't know about you, Jenny. I've used a shovel a few times, but
you've done more.
That being said, we do have a very deep practice with heavy equipment contractors, and we really have an appreciation for what you do. But we'll talk through some of the things that we do specifically with the heavy highway and capital intensive contractors. It's a big part of our practice.
Yeah, well, if you want to go ahead and dive deep into that, you hear the name Somerset CPAs and Advisors. I mean, obviously that's a given right there, just a little bit of the work that you guys do. But if you want to go ahead and go on a deeper explanation of what Somerset does specifically for highway construction, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. And maybe a little more background. Our firm, again, I've been with our firm 30 years. And when I started with our firm, we were less than 30 people. And today, today we're 230, somewhere in there. We actually have 3 offices: Indianapolis, Chicago, Nashville, Tennessee. About 25 years ago, 5 years into my career at Somerset, our firm went the route of going into niche service practices. So we broke off a construction niche. I took the lead on that construction niche, and that was really the start of our construction practice 25 years ago. And it's evolved to where we are today, and it's grown with our firm, the same as our firm has grown significantly. Indiana, contiguous states, and really our practices throughout the country. And we work with every type of contractor you can think of, and every shape, size, from $1 million to $500 million in revenues, and certainly GCs and CMs, but every trade you can think of. And then we've really developed a specialized practice in working with capital intensive contractors, heavy highway, DOT, and all those specialized needs that they have. And the construction industry is unique. So when our firm decided to go into niche practices, it's one thing to be a CPA firm and provide the types of services CPAs do. The typical things you think of are financial and tax services, audits and the compliance, and we do all that. We do all that really well, and the construction industry is unique. So there's a lot of specialized needs around those areas, but we've also grown our practice around advisory and really being involved in the industry, getting to know the businesses, the owners, their key people and their teams, and then understanding, the operational side of the industry as well. So that's really become our philosophy. We're all about, what we really focus on Somerset is the client experience. We have a client first philosophy, and then we place clients at the center of everything we do.
No, it's very important. And, you mentioned that, and another thing that I love about our industry, with no matter what position that you hold, no matter what kind of company that you work for in our industry, I feel like it's the same with everyone. It's relationship. And that's one thing I love about our industry. And yeah, that's important in other industries, but I guess I just like to brag a little bit on highway construction.
Yeah, so you hit a note there, because that's what we practice and what I practice with our team, and Jenny does as well, is that we are in the relationship management business. That's what we do. And we just so happen to provide financial, tax, and advisory services along with that.
You're exactly right, Ken. I haven't been at Somerset as long, but I was drawn to Somerset for that reason, because we do have that depth of bench, that knowledge of a big firm and expertise of a big firm, but we're very client focused, and you would never know that we have almost 250 people because we're all about the client. How do we manage that relationship? And there is that personal touch, I think, that feels like a small firm, but you get the expertise of a big firm at the same time.
That's great. I know, Jenny, you said you've been with Somerset for 6 years. Ken, you've been with them for 30 years. But could each of you explain to everyone, tell them, how you got into the finance side of construction and what keeps you on that side of construction?
Sure. So, as I said, I've been with our firm 30 years. 25 years ago, we went into the niche practice area. I took a lead on that. I actually grew up in a family business that had a somewhat of a connection to the construction industry. So that was kind of an inroad for that. And, as we've started developing that practice, and we've had great team members, Jenny, and we've got another 15, 100% dedicated people in our firm that all they do is construction and work with the construction industry and focus their knowledge, expertise, training, and business development, and involved in various industry associations. But it's really become kind of a second nature and just what we do. And they're great people to work with. Contractors are I would call the ultimate serial entrepreneur, and they can really they know how to run their businesses, and operationally, but a lot of times they need help with the financial and strategic side of the business, and that's really what we love to do, and that's where we spend a lot of our time, is on that side of the practice. And again, contractors are as it relates to being on the edge, and just the evolution of the construction industry and the ever-changing dynamics of the construction industry has made this a very rewarding career and opportunity.
Ooh, that's really good. To build on that, I came in later in the game. I didn't start in construction, but I've been in it ever since I've been at Somerset. And when I got here, I was amazed at all of the resources and things that are out there that I didn't know about. At a smaller firm, I had no idea of the need. I know construction is very accounting for construction companies is very specific, but I had no idea the other advisory services that were available. And when I got here, what I loved is seeing the personal touch with the client. They are the ultimate entrepreneur. They're constantly changing and constantly going in different directions. And what I kind of love is each one of them are different, and each owner has different goals. And that's the fun part, getting to know what they want and then trying to help them get their business to that next level.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed too, I mean, I guess you can say I'm one of the construction kids because my dad's been in the industry for 20 years. And before I was at ICI, I was actually a coworker of his, which was really, really crazy. So now when he talks about stuff, I completely understand what he's talking about for the most part, which is really, really awesome. But growing up, I kind of knew a little bit about it, and getting into the industry, I've learned a lot more about it too. And I was the same way, I just knew a little bit from what my dad would tell me, and then getting into the industry, learning just how much more there is to it. And a lot of the companies, a lot of our members, they're family-owned businesses. So a lot of your big contractors, or even the smaller contractors, they're multi-generational, whether it's, sons or daughters of the owners or other families that have multi-generations working for that company. So I've noticed lately there's starting to become a generational shift in the industry.
Right.
A lot of companies are going through trying to do succession planning along with anything financial too. And that's something else that you guys do also, correct?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because, from the advisory perspective, there's some certain advisory type services that are more prominent in succession, and there's all forms of succession, whether it's family or internal with key employees, or mergers, acquisition, different and transition options there, but making sure as families or privately owned companies are growing, and their owners are aging, and and it's not only a stock transition, but it's a management transition as well. So that's an area that we spend a lot of time on, and construction is unique in there from that perspective of how do you succeed a construction company, because you have to be insightful of working capital and equity and bonding capacity and banking covenants, and how do you transition the company in a way that you can't that you won't damage their ability to operate. And that could be challenging. Something we do a lot of.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really awesome, because I know there's probably some companies that are even maybe thinking, oh, is there some succession planning looking into the future? And this would be a good time for them to do that too. So both.
Never too early.
Oh, exactly. I know, right? Never too early for that. And I know both of you have different amounts of time that you've spent at Somerset, but thinking about the time prior to you joining the team at Somerset, can you think back on what, attracted you to Somerset CPAs and Advisors? Like, what made you guys want to join the team and work for that company?
So this is a second career for me. I'm non-traditional, so I went back to school. I had a degree in business, but not accounting.
Okay.
I went back to school and got accounting, and then sat for the CPA exam. And then at that point, I wanted to work in public accounting, and I did some research. And Somerset was my first position in public accounting. I knew they were a great firm, had a great reputation, a long history, even though at the time they were less than 30 people, but very independent firm, and they want to maintain independence. I know that, and that's important. And they're very growth oriented. And to me, it's more of an open firm structure. So there's opportunity to move up. Most CPAs that go into public with the career path, want to work their way through and transgress through to a lot of times to that partnership level. And we've created those opportunities. So, it's a great firm and great career path opportunities, and not just financial and tax, but advisory, and we let people figure out what they're comfortable with and where they want to work, and give them time to figure that out. So it's a great firm, and obviously it's been my only position in public accounting, and I think the independence and the one firm concept and the firm working together, and the niche service is kind of the biggest unique value differentiators, is that the niche service and truly 100% dedicated individuals to working in construction. I think that's very unique.
I have a little bit different coming into Somerset a little bit later and later in my career. I like it now because it was my choice. And when they offered me the job and said, if you want to work here, you get to be you. You don't have to be everything. We have people that do that. And I thought, oh my gosh, really? I don't have to be the expert in every area. I can focus on something that I like, which turned into construction, and it's been really fun ever since.
That's awesome.
And that's something I'll just add real quick too. Due to the success of our construction niche and all our team members, we participated in a national survey with CPA firms and construction that provides construction, that have a construction niche, and we ended up being ranked nationally the 17th largest construction niche firm.
That's awesome.
So that was exciting, and again, that our firm provides a lot of opportunity, and construction's just been one of those niches that's really been a great area to participate and evolve and grow, and exciting.
Yeah, and see, the good thing with you guys working on the finance side when it comes to highway construction, what I always tell people all the time, one thing that I love about this industry is that when you get into it, you're not just getting a job, you're getting a career, a lifelong career. And whether you're starting out in the field or starting out in finance or law or insurance or whatever it is, or like me on the talent development side, we're always going to need a bridge. We're always going to need a road. And especially here in the state of Indiana, we're going strong. And we are a very fortunate industry where fortunate circumstances in the world right now with the whole COVID pandemic, we are not one industry where we have to let a bunch of people go. We're an industry where we're like, we need more people, come choose our industry, come work. So it's a very strong industry to be a part of. So that's another thing that I always tell people, if you choose whatever side of highway construction you choose, you're going to have a job and you're going to have one for a long time.
But from the brick and mortar side, I couldn't imagine the gratification that the contractors feel when they step back with a completed project and look at what they've done. That's,
Oh yeah. And I always tell people all the time, when I was younger, on the weekends, have like AAU tournaments, track cross country meets, whatever it was, whether it was mine or my brother or sisters. Usually when we'd be on our way home, my dad would take a detour and we're like, Dad, where are you going? He's like, I gotta show you this bridge. And at the time, when you're younger, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Because the next time I drive by it, when I'm not with my dad, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was one of my dad's projects. But I didn't actually, I thought it was cool, but I didn't really understand the pride that he had until I got in the industry. So now I totally get it. And anytime I talk to people, they always say the number one thing that they love to do when they complete a project is get in their truck and be one of the first people to drive down that road or over that bridge. So I can't imagine how awesome that feels too.
Pretty cool.
I love that you said that, because as advisors, we kind of get excited about that stuff too. Yeah. So every time we pass construction on the road, my husband always laughs because I'm always looking. I'm like, whose truck is that? Is that one of our
guilty
people?
Of that too. Yeah, I'm totally guilty of them. Like,
I love it
right now. So I live on the south side of Indy right now. So they are starting to put roundabouts, and a lot of people outside don't really know how to drive around them yet because they're not used to them. But you kind of have to zigzag your way through the south side of Indy just because there's so much construction going on. So when I drive past it, like you said, Jenny, I my head, look out the window to see if I know, if I'm familiar with what company's out there working away. So that's awesome. And I know both of you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, like your favorite parts of your job, but if you just want to highlight that again, both of you just kind of talk about, what is your favorite part about being in finance in highway construction at Somerset?
Yeah, so construction, certainly a CPA firm in finance and accounting, tax, and advisory, there's unique components to that. Construction is unique in itself, has very unique financial, tax, and operational considerations. But then you can even take it a step further, the heavy highway component, it's unique in itself. There's a lot of unique considerations to take into account, and where we can add value. I always say, it's difficult because I've never, from the practical perspective, I've never sat on the side of the desk as the contractor. I've always been on this side of the desk as an outsider, but we work with a large number of contractors that are experiencing similar, business opportunities and challenges. And from our experience, we've been able to see what works, what doesn't work, and our involvement in the different associations and so forth. And that's allowed us to really, I think, separate ourselves and to provide that value to help clients, not only with their compliance, but, with as it relates to knowing the industry, working with peers and understanding best practices, and providing counsel, not just on financial and tax, which again are unique, and there's lots of opportunities there, and we can hit home runs there. It's always fun to go in and help a client on tax, like with Jenny, and walk out and say, we just saved you $50,000 in taxes. That's very tangible, but there's a lot of intangible things that, we can help, contractors with from a best practice, and that, takes time to get systems and processes in place, and kind of make that connection between the financial side, management, the financial side, and the project side. And the biggest thing that's unique about contractors, and from a financial perspective, and you can really try to put this in perspective, those that are working on the projects really they want to run their projects, and that's what they love to do. However, from a financial standpoint and a management standpoint, and from revenue recognition and building your financials, there's a lot of risk in those projects. And this is the only industry that a substantial amount of your assets, liabilities, and your margin is made up of estimates. That those estimates is information that has to come from those project people. So you've got to have that link, and that's such a unique concept. You have to have a really strong link between the field and the operational side, and then the financial and the management side. And from a best practice standpoint, those are the contractors that are most successful that accomplish that. So that's been a lot of fun, and over the years, and identifying, what it is that makes that process work, and then working with clients to help them, execute that effectively. And, we love find ways to create, additional value to our clients across their enterprise, and actionable industry insights and thought leadership through our, experience. And that allows us to work with our clients to help them achieve more.
I will, just to build on that, my favorite part really is the people, which always about the relationship, right? That's what we talked about. But it is fun to see once all those pieces fit into place, it does make your financials stronger. It does make being able to predict where you're going to be for tax purposes at the end of the year, how you get there. It's fun to see once all those come together. That's kind of that's where I'm at with, I love it. I like seeing the people, and once they get it, and it's fun being the teacher, advisor, consultant for all of that.
And that is no surprise, because Jenny is the ultimate people person.
Oh,
you can probably see that.
I like the people. It's the fun part. Thanks.
No, that's great. See, and that's kind of like your version of driving over a road or a bridge when it's finished.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the same thing, which is awesome. So if you guys want to, I'd like to jump into more of like questions about each of you individually. Because I know right now, hot topic, workforce development, get people to come into our industry right now is a really, really good time. So there's a lot of talk in our office about, adult education versus high school, and talking with students. So I know videos like this one and other ones that I've done, we've had to do show students, because I can't go to a high school and talk to students about all of the different opportunities that are available to them. So typically when I was in high school, thinking back 10 years ago when I graduated, I took the college route. That was what fit best for me. And I also had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I was like, yeah, I'll try college. I'll figure it out. And I think I figured it out okay. But some students don't necessarily want to go the college route and they want to get right into the industry, or some do want to do the college route, but they're not really sure what they want to do. So if both of you want to talk a little bit more about your career journeys on, I know you mentioned earlier, Ken, you took a career switch. Jenny, you were at a firm before, you were at Somerset. But if both of you want to kind of talk about just your career journey as a whole, kind of, where you started and how you got into finance.
Yeah, so I originally Purdue, which is always a good school to go to when you're involved in the construction industry. But my original degree from Purdue was business with a marketing concentration. So that's where I went back to school and decided to get into accounting. So I had a couple of years of night school while I was working, took a financial position with a company while I did that, and went to night school. And once I got my accounting, what I needed for the accounting in order to sit for the CPA exam. And then once I did that, I looked at firms, did my homework, and I was fortunate to be able to get a position with Somerset. I had done my homework. I knew they were a good firm. And I started out as a staff, even though I was non-traditional, a little older, I started out as a staff person just like anybody else, and worked my way up through the ranks, through staff, senior, supervisor, manager, senior manager, and then partner. And again, that's the career path, that I was looking for. And Somerset is structured to, it's a growth-oriented firm, and it's structured to provide that opportunity for those that want to achieve that. And I was very fortunate that I picked the right firm, and that that it all worked out. And and I love it. And I knowing the construction industry too. Obviously that's a career path that I chose, but I know the construction industry has a lot of great opportunities for, if you don't have to go to college, you can get into the trades, you can work and get paid while you go to school, and great salaries. So, and I think more and more are finding that out, and that's a great path and opportunity to go into the construction industry. And those are the people we love to work with.
I agree. Well, I was kind of looking for a spot to tell you thank you for doing this about careers, because way back then I didn't know what I wanted to do either. Like you, I go to college because that's what, I thought. Actually, I don't know that I ever had a choice. So go to college, get there, go, what am I going to do? And I originally started in as a psychology major. And I decided, I think it was because I was trying to figure out my crazy family. But switch from that, you'd have to go to school way too long to do anything with it. So yeah, left that. Actually later went back, I kind of did the non-traditional thing too, and did accounting classes at night and finished up while I worked during the day. I think it was fun once I knew I wanted to be a CPA, and I knew I wanted to be in public accounting. So I did what I had to make that work. Yeah, and then once you get there, it was that was it, but it was funny because I totally did not start down that path. And that's what I like about this, what you guys are doing with this project, is letting people know there are other things out there. There's a lot of stuff, like Ken said, there's a need for these trades too, that everybody needs work. Everybody needs employees. So it's a good time.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because I kind of started wanting to do something in healthcare when I was in college. I was like, yeah, I wanted to go in and be an occupational therapist. I was like pre-OT my freshman year. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could deal with the whole, even though you're like occupational therapy, there's still those times where you have to deal with the whole like blood and all of that. And I was like, yeah. And I have like, my sister's a nurse practitioner, my friends are in nursing, and they're like, oh, it's mind over matter. And I'm like, I don't think that's something I can get over. So I switched my major a couple times, and I switched it to sign language interpreting, and I got into the program. I was out in the field, and I saw everybody in my class just how passionate they were about it. And I was like, I love the language and I love the deaf community, but I'm not as passionate as everybody else. Figure out something else. So then I switched my major to communication studies, and my first class, I was like, okay, why didn't I do this my freshman year of college? And I figured it out. I had to, take a victory lap and do a 5th year, which was fine. But I got got my bachelor in communication studies, focused in health comm, thought I would still be working in healthcare, and then minored in American Sign Language. And then my last semester, my dad calls me, I'm walking to class. It's like, hey, I got an internship at my work that may be something you want to do in marketing. Why don't you call my boss and blah, 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 and here I am.
So similar to you,
it's kind of like a weird route, but it worked out, and I love it. So I love hearing stories about when people, whether they did choose college or they didn't, or they went traditional or non-traditional route and they ended up wherever they end up. But of course, I love the construction stories.
Well, similar to you, we don't have the blood and the gory stuff that you have with the healthcare side. But you never know on April 15th what's going to happen.
Do you guys want to go ahead and explain kind of what your day-to-day's like? And I know in several positions in highway construction, for a lot of people, it's never the same every day, or they have like a few things where it is the same every day. But as a principal at Somerset, how are your day-to-days typically?
So for those that are in our firm and that have career paths, it can vary. What you might, as it relates to construction and heavy highway, that you might be in an audit function or a tax function, or advisory, or some combination of that. For me, my day is different every day, and it's pretty full every day. I will say it's pretty full. Pre-COVID, it was full of a lot of lunch and dinner, meetings, but it's really all about it's about managing the group. Mm-hmm. It's about relationship management with clients, certainly business development, and then my primary role as it relates to what I do with clients as it relates to providing services is advisory, and 100% of what I do is advisory, and then we pull in team members to help with all those projects. And just like a construction project, we try to we work with the client, we scope out the project, we put a fee to it, we put a timeline, we set goals, expectations, and then our team works with the client team in order to deliver the projects, depending on what that project is. So every day is different, and every day typically has some surprises. Most of the time they're good and fun surprises. Not always. Sometimes there's challenges that come up and we work through those. But we always use a team approach. Jenny and I work together on a lot, and we've got our group of dedicated construction team members we work with, and then we also leverage throughout the firm, to get work done. Our firm, even though we have niche service areas, we do have a lot of crossover when needed. So it's always exciting, always busy. It's a fun, it's a fun career and a fun career path, and certainly working with the heavy highway, the construction heavy highway niche is unique, and it has a lot of unique aspects and exceptional people to work with, and it's fun.
It is. Mine, like you, mine is always different, and I use my calendar. I'm a calendar person every day, so I look at mine to make sure where I'm going to be, and then I look at Ken's so I know where he's going to be and make sure I'm not supposed to be where he's going to be, so I'm not missed. But that's after, I get up and get ready and put my slippers on and walk to my desk, because that's as far as we can go right now, which has been the only great thing I think about working from home is not having to wear shoes.
Yes.
but the day's always different. And it's usually, mine starts with all the things that happened overnight that clients ask that I didn't get to yet because I was asleep, or the ones that get up at 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes I can and have thought of something that we need to do or that we forgot about, or how can we help someone? And then the next piece of it, I would say, like right now, since the tax law and stuff is changing so much and so quickly, we do have a dedicated team that does the technical piece of that. And then it comes back to us as relationship managers to make sure we get that information out to our clients. And right now, since the whole COVID thing has happened, it's been nonstop with that. So,
I'm sure.
And it changes all the time, which is, it's kind of fun that it changes. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, let's just figure out what we're doing. And we can't because it's always changing.
Yeah.
But it is nice that we are keeping in contact with our clients since we're at home and we're not able to have the lunch meetings and the breakfast like we usually do. It was fun.
Is there any skill that you can think of that's like the number one skill that you would need to have to be successful in your position at Somerset?
So I think there's a few things. They all tie in together. And again, with our focus at Somerset being on the client experience and that the client is the center of everything we do, it's that skill set that creates being able to manage relationships. So listening, communicating, being creative, and problem solving, and adding value to our relationships. So that is to me, it's that key. We are in the relationship management business. I say that all the time, and it really is what we do. And we just, as a byproduct, and we do a good job with it. But it's finance, tax, and advisor. But it's building relationships.
I agree. I like communication is key, I think, with everything, and especially right now. If you can concentrate on being a better communicator, which includes listening. Sometimes I have to tell myself that, stop talking and listen.
Same.
Which happens, but that's okay. Once we hear, once you do those things, you get there. But looking for those skills in other people and learning how to do that, I think, is very important.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Thinking back to your younger self when you were young, pre-adulthood, is there any advice that you could think of that you could have given yourself or would have given yourself when you were younger that would help you as an adult today in your current role?
And that's a great question, because I can't tell you how many times, I've, stubbed my toe or started over and have learned, from the school of hard knocks or whatever you want to call it. But, I would say, you've got to set goals, establish expectations, exceed them. But I think you need to seek mentorship within your organization. And then you've got to not only work hard, but work smart. And then you've got to own it. Whatever you're doing, own it. And then I guess the last piece is maintain balance and, family and work life and those things. There's Somerset is one of those that does a great job providing the opportunity to have that balance for the employees. So, those, to me, those are, if you can pull all that together, there's nothing you won't be able to achieve.
I agree. I think I would have told myself it's two things. One would have been, it's okay to fall down and get back up, because that's what we do. And you learn that after time, it's okay. You have to fail a couple of times to figure out the right thing. And the other thing I would say is it's okay to ask for help or ask questions. Because what I love too about Somerset is that collaboration that we have as a team. I can come in and say, Ken, I don't know what to do with this. There is nothing you can do. And he can go, well, here's 4 things. Did you try this, and this? And what about this one? And I go, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. So using your resources is what I tell other people at work. Use your resources and learn from them, because that's what they did, the same thing you did to get there.
Oh yeah, that's all really, really good advice. And looking into, like we were talking about earlier with high school students and each high school student trying to figure out what in the world am I going to do after I graduate. So if a high school student came up to either of you and asked you about, should I choose a career path in highway construction, what would you tell them and what advice would you give them to start on that career path?
Yeah, only if you want a guaranteed job and great pay. I mean,
That's
so,
good. No, that's real good.
well, and you mentioned it earlier, Julia. Construction, it's growing. It's in high demand. It's growing. They have a huge demand to fill positions. There's projected shortfalls in filling those positions, and based on the growth of the economy and the expected markets, and so there's a big need. So construction will continue to have opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
As from our perspective, the serial entrepreneur owner and the management, they're great to work with. They're fun. They're exciting. Never a dull moment. It's unbelievable to me when we haven't maybe, we try to stay in touch and communicate with our clients regularly, but if after 3 or 4 months, let's say we have a lunch meeting, it's unbelievable the things we find out that our clients are doing, and they're such entrepreneurs. They're going full steam ahead, and there's so many things that we can help them with in that process. And that's a big reason for us to stay in touch and communication, because they're so busy. They don't always think to pick up the phone. We're a valuable team member, and they treat us that way, and that's the ultimate relationship, is to have that valued and that mutual respect. But it's unbelievable, where the market's going, and the excitement and the opportunity, and technology that's happening around it, the evolution. So it's a great industry. And then, as I said, from the side of the contractor themselves, I can't imagine, because when I see the end product, I'm astonished. If you were part of building that, how that would feel, how wonderful that would feel to have been part of that.
I like it. I would just add on to that would be, go try it. Go ask somebody if you can shadow them for a day, because I promise you they're not going to say no. And ask all of them. Start over here and end over here and do the whole thing, because there's so many jobs out there that you may love and you didn't even know they were there. So I would say definitely get in, get your feet dirty, and go check it out.
So thank you both so much.
Thank
you, Julia. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate ICI and everything you do.
Yeah,
yes,
awesome.
thank
you guys so much.